What's up, guys, and welcome back to Try Time Podcast. I'm Matt.
And I'm Callum.
And this is episode 72, which, as you can probably tell, we are recording this halfway through the weekend's fixtures. Hence why, well, ironically, one of us is in rugby gear, and it's not even the Bradford fan.
Yeah, and you're in bullshit. Like, I can't believe that when you came on this, when we got on the call, you haven't changed, to be honest.
We might have to do a cut, and I might have to come back in a different shirt.
Just because I think it's crazy because it's obviously, if you didn't realise, we're recording this midway through Sunday before the 3 o'clock kickoffs on Sunday, which includes, is it Castleford, Catalans, and then some of the 5 championship games and stuff. So we're not going to be touching.
Don't forget League One.
What's that? And League One as well. But we're not going to be touching on them. But obviously, there's already been a lot happen over this weekend. So,
well, there hasn't. Let's be honest, because we've not had any dramas. We've not really had any coaches bordering on being arrested.
No, it's one of them where the drama's actually been on the pitch this week.
I know it's been quite a chilled out week in rugby.
Yeah, in terms of, actual stuff happening on the pitch. Where do we even start this? This weekend.
We've got to start at our favourite place, haven't we, where we've spent a good half of this season.
Hull FC. We've got to give them the prop. We've got to give them the props because we've been one at first, not first, but we've been, when they've been stupid and done silly stuff, we've dragged them down. But then
I think what we've said is fair, and actually, you can see now they're starting to come out the other side of this. They've got rid of a lot of their problem players. They've not been afraid to shift those on that they've even signed very recently and just accepted, right, it hasn't worked. Okay, we're probably taking a financial hit on this, but it's better for the club in the long run. And Milo's come in and fair play, he's done that. And I guess the other thing now, if you're Hull, it's the option you coach can get these results.
Yeah, it's interesting. I remember in our pre-season predictions, which is before we knew Hull FC were going to go to shit. I remember saying
we thought Pele would be a good prop.
Yeah, he is still a good prop, but
at the championship against
I thought it'd be a season for them where they're not going to get anywhere near playoffs, but with the young players that they've got, they're going to come through alongside these signings that we thought could be good. Crap, bloody break the room. And actually,
speaking of things falling apart, it's Hull and Callum's setup.
Yeah, and it obviously never started that way because the young players wasn't getting much of a look in, and the whole structure of the club was just a mess. Now, they're letting players go and playing these younger players, and yeah, some weeks they might lose, but then when you have a result like this, it's all the more worth it, and it's good experience for these young players who, going forward, are the future of the club at the end of the day. So it's a win-win, really, I think.
And this is how you find out who's going to make it and who's not, because for all it looks like Charles and Barmouth and that are in and around this first team picture, we're probably now seeing that for all his early promise and still yet to kick on, Liam Tyndall might not quite be at the level to be starting in Super League.
Yeah,
you're not going to know this without playing them ultimately.
This is one of them things where I'm scared of what to say here because we could be saying all this as like you said about Pele. I said he's good. He could have got red card in first minute or something. At the game, which is today, but obviously a few days ago.
I'm just thinking, who we even play at York, where he was on dual reg? Oh, this has got Pele Brawl written all over it.
And Tyndall as well. Tyndall could score 6 tries, or he could do no. And
he could be outscored. He might even play because you love Ockenball on wing.
No, Ockenball's not even in squad this week.
Yeah.
So it's a win.
We've all known about the TikTok sound from the Celtic days. This, when he scores, you hear the Bradford sing, Ockenball on the wing.
Yeah, he's getting better. Every time I watch him, but then still he's just the
Did you not watch the Wakefield game There was one try, and he was very much a key part of why it was scored.
Yeah,
and
but that's
funnily enough, the try wasn't for you.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Usually, there's a few tries against him. There is fault. Like it's only one. It were only one last.
Okay, let me rephrase. 100% of the tries scored in that game, he was partially at fault for.
I know, but
that's not an improvement. That's a terrible stat.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's not here this week, so we'll see how we get on without him, won't we? But yeah,
and that's where we can't reveal he's actually here on the pod instead because he's not.
Yeah, maybe we should have arranged that. Although I don't think he'd come on after some of the stuff I've said about him.
I mean, other people have said worse.
Yeah, I mean, that is true. But yeah, if Bradford go on and win 6, if it's like a record-breaking score, or I'm not going
to be praising Hull FC and we ended up on Bradford.
Because you started talking about bloody old butt players they've sent off to Bradford.
I started because we said Tyndall hadn't reached the level when we're talking about Hull FC's kids.
Which links to the fact that they're choosing to play the kids over Tyndall, who is now being sent back down on loan to Bradford till end of season as well, it seems. So,
which, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's recall options on all these, but you've gone from being a very promising up-and-coming talent at Leeds to playing a good half of last season in the first team at Leeds, to go to Hull FC where it starts, Fuzzy 2 is back and re-signed. There's not a clear and obvious pathway for him this season. Hull gives him a chance to get regular minutes and with it a number 2 shirt, to now playing in the Championship. It just feels like we had all this early explosive potential, and actually, is that the limit of where we're going to get from him?
I really like him. I think he's a winger.
I really like him, but I don't know if I like him because he's a very good winger, or I like him because he nearly scored the length of the field try against Catalan on his debut, and he offered something very different to what we had in terms of in broken play. He actually has a nous to run forward.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing about. I think his effort areas is great. I think the only thing I think sometimes it can be a bit suspect is under the eyeball, which we'll see, I guess, today. But whenever we've had some players down, and I know this, I'm linking it to Bradford as well because that's my experience. Liam Tyndall he's played it in a million different spells at Bradford. But we've had players we've had Louis Roberts come down, and he just didn't even give a shit. He was shit, didn't care, didn't even want to take the ball in. Yeah.
But where did you play him? Because don't forget he's a centre.
We played him
very adamant he's a centre.
But then we had him on wing, but we played Tyndall. He always was there, and all Bulls fans will tell you this. Out of that spell of Leeds players we had last year, because Ruan was shit when we had him, and I'm not saying he's shit now, but he was shit. He just, whatever reason, didn't care, didn't buy into what we were trying to do. Ruan and Roberts were shit. Tyndall was the only one who was actually seemed to be trying and always put 100% effort in, which you value as a team. I'd look if Tyndall's future might be in Championship going forward, which is fine. I don't think he's ever going to be a playoff winger necessarily, but
which I think that's part of the thing, though. What I'm trying to say, because I mean, when he first broke through, like everyone does, the world is their oyster. They've got potential to end up in League One in 2 years, or they've got potential to be going to the NRL. And it just seemed like over time, this, what started out as a decent Super League winger that could well hold down that shirt for Leeds as they hopefully progress back up the division, has slowly turned into a winger that you're starting to think, I'd say now his stock is probably more bordering on Championship / very bottom of Super League, which, considering Hull are quite near very bottom of Super League and kicking him out, albeit not permanently, but it kind of just get the sense that he's not really seizing an opportunity here. And does it almost need to be a permanent move to somewhere, to a team that's really pushing to make that Championship to Super League transition? Albeit who knows who's going to be in any sort of position to do that, given the wonderful world of IMG.
Yeah,
it just feels, I don't know, like it's a slow and steady decline.
it's one of them where I could see him, next season signing full time at Bradford. I could see him next season signing full time at like someone like Cass and, being like a wing option for them, whether it's a third. I think he's a fine third choice winger to have, which you definitely need in Super League nowadays. It's definitely an area that you need. But
it kind of just feels like a slightly less glamorous version of Jack Walker.
Yeah.
Who again, obviously came in, won the grand final his first season, played the World Club Challenge, was tipped to go to the NRL, and about 5 seasons later was having to sign on at Bradford in the second tier. And he's rebuilt himself with a chance in Super League again now. But even then, you're looking at him at a club where the fans arguably think Logan Moy is more the future than Jack Walker.
Yeah.
Which if you'd have said that when he won the grand final at 17 or something daft, starting fullback for Leeds, when was that? How many years? 7. And then 11-year-old child was going to dethrone him from Hull FC's #1 jersey in not even a decade. You'd have been called a crackhead, especially if you're from Hull when you said that.
Yeah, but I mean, thing is that, and that's where you've now got to put a bit of, that's about Walker and about Moy overtaking him. But if you introspectively now look at Leeds, for example, Jack Walker rips you apart at the weekend, right? And I've seen
Walker. What game are you referring to here? We lost at the K-Con.
No, I'm sorry, I didn't mean Leeds. I mean Jack Walker. Sorry, I've misspoke. Sorry. Basically, the point I'm trying to make is...
You mean Jack Walker ripped Wigan apart?
Yeah, and then Wakey Miller has been scapegoated by Leeds fans from his performance at the weekend. So, if you're looking purely at this last weekend...
Wakey Miller is just a weird one. Because he's 29, he doesn't look like he understands... I mean, Jamie Jones said it perfectly, he needs to learn the game. And it's like, why are we having a 29-year-old prospect? Well, it's basically just like plucking a 15-year-old out of union. Like,
that's what I'm saying.
Weird one. He's the most weird comparison to make a player to, because he's just so out there, and I'm not convinced.
That's what I'm saying. So would Leeds, like you're saying that about Moy, but would Leeds be better? I know I've seen even you comment on someone's post about Edgell should start next week, which I think's fair because Edgell will show him great glimpses when he's played anyway.
Edgell's been perfectly solid, and frankly, the thing is, Miller will one of these days do something electric and go and cause an absolute crazy try that could be try of the year. But the problem is he's probably going to be at fault for about 15 tries the other way before that happens.
Yeah, his position.
You know how you'll get this because you've seen him that. You know how Harry Newman skips around defence and it gets to the point where he's just trying to sidestep everyone aimlessly with no actual idea what his end goal is?
Yeah.
That is Lockie Miller every time he touches the ball.
He doesn't just run straight, does he?
My God, he's like a bloody zigzag on speed. It's like trying to swat a fly. But the problem is, they can all bloody swat him because he don't go through anywhere. It just gets absolutely smashed.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And that's why I think...
The only attribute is he can kick, actually. His last tackle kicks when you need distance and to put it somewhere that's not down the throat of one of the wingers or fullback. He can do that part well. And he's not the worst under the high ball. I've definitely seen shakier.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
But we were basically promised the best attacking fullback since Brent Webb, and we've basically got, I don't know, any of these lot from Timu.
I mean, that's the thing, though. Walker at Leeds now, probably, especially if he's playing like he did at the weekend, you're laughing, really. I think he'd be...
You've forgotten one key part there.
He'd be injured.
You're laughing until the 20th minute when he pulls his hamstring.
Well, that's true as well. But I think that's right for a lot of things. And, I guess a team like Leeds need to look at that because some of the players that they've let go who maybe the fault wasn't good enough, they've replaced with overseas players who and I definitely know better.
Well, I'm not even going to bring the Walker one in. For me, I think the biggest one that you look at right now, given that, I mean, John Wilkins said it the other week, and we kind of all agreed with him as much as we didn't want to. Leeds' pack lacks aggression. There's nobody there that you look at and are scared of. I mean, you saw against London, Aledzki got more meters than the other 4 props combined.
Yeah, it's not good in that.
Now, are you telling me that as much as I don't think he's the big bollocks that he thinks he is, but Tyler Dupree gets in and around, gets either starts or at least is on the bench to do the rotations in that squad?
Oh, easily, yeah.
100%. I mean, what are the other options? Sangare, who's all size, no go. Esse Jr., who's only on loan but has probably been the second best prop we've had behind Aledzki, because at least he actually has some gusto and tries. Lissoni, who puts up one run every game for his highlight reel and then decides, right, I'm checking out, I'm done for the day, and blows for 10 minutes. Allroyd, who, I mean, I'm not sold on him, but I also feel a bit harsh given he's played probably about 13 minutes all season. And then who have I forgotten? Oh, yeah, Goodemond, who's not even a fucking prop. Like, it's like Kyle Amor all over again.
It's one of them where you just, I think Leeds, there's a lot of issues there that, I mean, on paper, it looked good at end of last season with the recruitment, but then now you can see the gaps, especially in the pack.
I mean, I would argue that actually it's one of the worst lots of recruitment in the league in terms of expectation versus reality. Because I think Brodie Croft is fine, albeit he had an absolute shitter against KR, but everyone has the odd bad game. Like, for the most this season, he's probably been the standout. Ackers doesn't look worth the money that's been spent on him. And that was, I think, a lot of the Salford fans was kind of laughing a bit more than that, given he'd not had the best 23. I think, naively, there was a lot of people that put that down to sour grapes, but looks like they might have been onto something.
Yeah.
You've got Frawley, who has just had his best game for Leeds against Hull KR. But again, the fact that that's his best game and not his standard is a bit worrying.
As a 7, your best game for a club should be a winning game because you're arguably in the most influential position.
So now, what I would say, we know my opinions on Frawley, so the fact I'm going to sit and defend him here says a lot about how well he actually played. Croft was the one that had the shitter.
Right.
And basically, that game was predominantly lost by Croft just being poor, Mikey Lewis being incredible, frankly. Fuzzy 2 are not even being able to ground a basic ball. And Cam Smith deciding he knows better than every bloody qualified doctor in England and wants to hobble around a pitch when he can't run for 5 minutes instead of going off when he's told.
Right.
So hopefully you're learning a lesson the painful way, Cameron, because you need to do better. You're not a medical professional. The people telling you to leave the field are. Stick to rugby and let them stick to their job.
I'm going to say it's an interesting one, that, and I think there's probably more general conversation you could have about,
Well, we still keep saying we need to do the whole bloody Leeds rebuild at some point. So I think let's almost stop talking about them.
Yeah.
I think the last thing I want to say on it before we do is Brad Arthur's comment of, we were close in that game, but that's not good enough. That is the first time I've heard such a strong mentality from a coach in years, considering we had, 3 years of Rowan Smithers. Where were positives to take from that performance? No, just fucking bollock them for what they did shit and stop mollycoddling them, because they've had years of this.
Yeah, true.
And it now feels like you've actually got someone who's got a winning attitude. Yeah, rather than just here to collect his coaching badges and all that shite.
Well, you have to. Only time will tell. But I mean, you're not a million miles off the playoffs, are you? So
I think, to be honest, this week was kind of saved by Huddersfield beating Salford.
yeah, it kept you in it.
And because, I mean, we're 4 points behind Salford and Catalan, albeit Catalan I would expect to beat Castleford today.
Which we'll come on to, but and Saints as well.
Well, yes. I was going to let you lead that in, but yeah. Obviously, we've got Huddersfield away next week, which historically is always a shit game for us. So that's big. And then Salford away, which, I mean, that's a playoff 4-pointer right there. I think lose that and you're probably out.
Yeah.
Win that and Salford are on the ropes a little bit. Leeds get a bit of momentum going. There's an opportunity to sneak that final spot in 6th. And then I'd like to hope with a few more weeks under a better coaching system, because the line speed was much better at the start of the game. They just looked like they were shattered. Which begs the question of how unfit did they get under Rowan by passive defence?
Yeah.
But, you're in that position there with a couple of weeks to go, 2 points between you. If you can sneak 6th, you're then potentially at that level where you could then go beat KR in a one-off game on the big occasion. And, you start thinking, to say you were 12-0 down after 4 minutes, you then steadied the ship and outplayed Warrington on scoreline at least for the remaining 76 of that game. And then, Catalans have shown all season they're prone to an off day. They have that at the wrong time. And segue perfectly here onto St Helens as off days. So I'd imagine it's Wigan and Warrington who are probably going to be the grand final, because they're the only two that look like consistent. And as much as Wigan lost, they lost without their 2 greatest assets, who are probably going to be back come the crunch end of the season. Yeah. And to lose both of them again would be deeply unlucky.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because also we better mention, if you're looking at the table, KR are up there in 3rd as well. But I think, and I've seen this being said on Twitter, like KR are one of them teams, but when you watch them play, you're like, how are they 3rd? But they just grind out results. They just go under the radar and get.
They are carried by a few very strong individuals.
Mikey Lewis and
Jez Litton.
Yeah.
Now, what I will say is, to say he was on the winning team, my God, Tyrone May him and Croft were the worst halfbacks on the pitch by a long way, and they were probably the worst players on the pitch, frankly.
Yeah.
He was shit. Like, I'm not even kidding. A one-legged Lee Gaskell would have done more than what Tyrone May did yesterday. That was a terrible game. And it's not the first time, is it, that he's kind of gone missing in these games? Because we've said it before when we've watched them, both in person and actually just done the live coverage. But they need to get more consistency out of May if they actually want to go far. And I question if he is the right half to partner Lewis.
Yeah, I mean, we've said that all season. I don't think he's right next to Lewis. I think Lewis needs someone with something different. I mean, May's too much chaos for Lewis, because Lewis says chaos is one of the key parts of his game.
But I think the problem is May's starting to give Rangi Chase energy here, where it's so random in his own head that no one else knows what he's doing. And he's almost too much chaos for the entire team at this point.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like Lewis is a bit more, you don't quite know what he's going to do, but you know he's going to do one of 3 things. So you've kind of got players that are expecting something similar to what happens.
Yeah.
Whereas May is just like, I know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to boot it, and if you've not already started sprinting, it's going over at dead ball line. And these players are just stood still waiting for a high kick. There's no cohesion there.
Yeah. So we'll see how they get on come playoff time, but I definitely think Wigan and Warrington are the 2 key sort of teams at the minute.
And looking like they'll finish 1 and 2, which obviously will put them on the opposite end of the draw.
Yeah.
Obviously, if one of them finished third and we got that as a semi-final, that would be quite exciting. But
yeah, albeit we would then end up with a final that is probably very predictable. And I mean, don't get me wrong, if it's Wigan Warrington, it'll be similar to the Challenge Cup where people just assume Wigan are going to win. Wigan will be the favourites. Wigan might not even get there, let's be honest. They might not. But
well, you mean similar to a Challenge Cup final in the sense of it's over in 2 minutes and welcome to the Chris Kendall show on tour?
I mean, speaking of that, I personally do not think that James Harrison was a red card. He's wrapping it. What happened to if he's attempting to make a safe tackle with his arms wrapped around?
Because once again,
it's a yellow card, maybe, but maybe I'll happy with a yellow card because of how they want to do rules. It's never a red card. It's not like he's gone in with his shot. You see worse than that every week in the Championship, and it never even gets penalised.
The thing is, there's different rules of rugby, isn't there? There's a game that all the clubs and players and juniors coming through play to, and then there's the Chris Kendall version. I mean, you laugh, but I'm not wrong.
I know.
Like you say, it was never a red card. I know I'm going to say I'm glad I benched him on fantasy this week.
But yeah, I think the fact that Warrington went and won that game, I know Saints have got players out, but with, 11 men at one point, it's fair enough. And again, a testament to Burgess and what he's doing down there. I can just see the story building. Like when they had him mic'd up on Sky, and I messaged you about it. I felt like when I was seeing the clips of it, or like when they were speaking, changing him, like the building up for him to win the grand final here and upset Wigan. And then it'd be just a big thing of like, oh, look at this from during the season, what you were saying to him and stuff.
So what we're saying here is when Warrington win the grand final, it's rigged by the refs all along.
No. That's not what I was going to say, but I don't think Kendall would have sent Harrison off if so, but I think that'd be good for the game. I mean, it'd be interesting, but I think it's good for the game, a new team winning out of what is still only 4 teams that have won it?
Yeah. So it's still only Saints, Wigan, and then us 2.
But that's the thing. And we say, it's like this comes to my mind every couple of months. I'm like, we've literally, how many years has Super League been going on now? It's, what is it, like
28 years.
28, nearly 30 years. Bradford haven't been in Super League.
In fact, this is probably, is it season 30 next year? Is this Super League 29?
I'm not sure if it's 28 or 29. Wait, 96 the first season.
Yeah, so 10 had been.
Yeah, so it's
5. So it's 30 years of Super League next year.
And only
4 teams have won it.
Within the last 20 years, only 3 teams have won it.
Yeah, because your last win was 2005.
Yeah. Let that sink in, man. That's what I mean. So Warrington winning would be good.
The whole sport's kind of fucked, isn't it?
Yeah. I reckon completely fuck every team off. Just get the 4 teams, because they're only the 4 worthy ones who've actually ever won Super League, and just do a 4-team league, I reckon, and just put all money into them.
No, that'd depress me at the moment.
Why do you think
Rowan Smith goes to Wigan?
You'd end up at bottom, I think, of that. I mean,
not with Brad Arthur. We're finishing 3rd in that, maybe even 2nd.
Yeah, that again. I guess we'll actually finally speak on Saints now. A lot of Saints fans are Wellens out. I mean, we had
this conversation at the start of the season, didn't we? Because I know Johnny touched on it when he was on the pod, and things are obviously a lot better then than they are now.
Yeah.
So the fact this is still going on is quite worrying for Wellens.
But it's one of them where Saints' problem is that they was too good, so the fans expect that every season. You're still going to be. I mean, I know we're saying they're only 4 points ahead of Leeds. Realistically, they'll get some bodies back, and they'll still be in playoffs. All can happen then. You know what I mean? Like, stop being so spoiled. Right? Don't get me wrong. If you get scraping playoffs and Wellens gets knocked out first round playoffs, maybe you let go of him in off season. But you're not the sort of club when you speak about culture and how you've worked and how you built up to them championships and that era of dominance, you're not the sort of club who just gets rid of a manager in the middle of the season, especially not when he's literally not even a club legend. He's the St. Helens club legend, isn't he, really? He is.
Yeah, but then look, my thing to that is, this is exactly what happened with Kieran Cunningham, the club legend, and it all turned very sour.
But did Kieran Cunningham win a World Club Challenge overseas whilst he what? No. I tell you what, Saints fans are some of them, and I know Johnny agrees with me because he puts shit and he's like, the Saints fans do his head in because the scapegoat every player. Just because Dodd's leaving, they hate him and want him never to play again. Look, at the end of the day, you've narrowly. I know Warrington were down, men, but at the end of the day, you have players injured. You've got these young players coming through. Enjoy watching these younger players play. It's not end of the world, man. They just expect to win every week.
Well, what I was just going to say is, I'm going to say now, which of these fan bases, and this is a question for the Saints fans watching the pod, particularly those who are well and out, where would you rather be? And these, this isn't necessarily what's going to happen, but I'm going to give you a choice. Would you rather be Warrington, who win the league leaders every now and again and choke every time it comes to a major final? Or would you rather be early 2010s Leeds, who finish 5th and then go and win the thing and have the name on the trophy at the end that matters at the end of the year? Because it ain't where you finish in the league that really matters. Unless you've actually won the Hub Cup, at that point, nobody gives a fuck.
Yeah.
Then it becomes one game rugby. And it don't matter then if you finish 1st or you finish 6th. Like we saw when it was Saints Leeds at the grand final. The only one that people are going to remember is who wins that. The team that people will consider finish 2nd that year will be the team that lost in the grand final. You're not going to look at the league.
Yeah, exactly.
All the league is a means to get the top 6.
Yeah, exactly. It's a game within the league system. It's not like, do or die necessarily.
Yeah, I think the only thing I'd probably want would be to finish 4th over 5th to get that home semi-final.
Yeah, but
quarter-final, isn't it? But
yeah, I guess it's like the preliminary semi-final or whatever they call it. But yeah, and it's not like Saints played Wigan with a depleted team and only narrowly lost the other week. And I watched that and I thought, yeah, Saints are still Saints.
But then I guess Wigan also had a depleted team on that one.
Yeah,
but then the same logic applies that both are going to get their best bodies back. And would you say that the players that Saints have lost are significantly worse than the players Wigan have lost? I won't say significant.
I mean, I think structurally, maybe. Although I guess in that game, Wigan were obviously missing field and stuff. But I think, like, for example, Eckersley, who stepped in, has played however many. I mean, he played in Challenge Cup final and stuff like.
And Farron's coming and just hit the ground running.
Yeah, so it's one of them where I think, if anything, this period of Saints and Wigan, and that game specifically that they played the other week, showed that these teams are not going anywhere because they're still bringing through players in key positions.
You've got what? Delaney, who was it? What, called up to England for the first time?
I'd say deservingly. I think he's really impressed.
Yeah, who's just broke through. They had, I've forgotten his name, the fullback.
What, for Saints?
Yeah.
Robertson.
That's the fella who, I think we kind of said this at the time, and I hate to scapegoat the player that St. Helens fans love to scapegoat, but kind of says to me that John Bennison will be signing for a lower Super League team in a few years and is potentially going on his Liam Tyndall career arc.
The fact that, that's an all different thing. I feel bad for him, really, because the fact that he's got the number 5 shirt and stuff, but yet they'll play Wacker Blake and T. Ritson on wings over him.
Well, it's the Ritson one, I think, more. I think you can get over Blake because ultimately he's come over as an NRL import who has.
But he's a centre, though, isn't he? He's not a winger.
Well, he is, but he's played the wing enough times.
Yeah, I know that, but
it's not like you're putting fucking Conrad Hurrell on wing over him. Then I would be a bit pissed off because Hurrell's never a winger. The problem is Wacker Blake also can't defend, so you shove him out wide and he's kind of involved in less.
Yeah, I guess so. But
But no, I know what you mean. The fact he kind of broke through, got rewarded with such a high shirt, and now he's losing out to Ritson, who's had a couple of good championship seasons and not done much in the top flight.
Yeah, and I guess, but like I say, we're saying structurally, it's like, yeah, Robertson at fullback has looked really good and promising for the future. Like, I imagine next season I could see him going on a loan, maybe like a season-long upper championship loan. I think that'd be really good for him. But like structurally, that then means, they're playing Wellesby in the halves then and not in his best position at fullback. And the dynamics of the teams are just off, because I don't think a Lomax Wellesby half combination is the best, because I think they're both trying to do the same thing. You need a Dodd in there who started on the bench at the weekend to help glue everything together. I imagine come the end of the season, when it matters, there will be in the classic Wellesby 1, Lomax 6, Dodd 7, which we've,
and if it gets them to Old Trafford, as they can spit the dummy out as much as they want that he's going to Australia, they'll have him there. If they've said it's either win the grand final or go out in the semis, but you've got to have Dodd play, they'll take the grand final and have him in there.
Also,
because every single fan cares most about the club winning silverware.
Yeah, exactly. That's all that matters. And don't you think, this is my opinion, out of all the teams, no matter where they finish, and this was the thing with the Leeds teams over the past, you have your best team in the league, so which right now is Wigan, right? If any of the other 5 who are in the playoffs, if there was one of them that you think on their day could beat Wigan, it would be Saints. You got the Derby effect. You've got Saints with everyone fit, are probably the only team that can actually match up to them in the key positions, realistically, without Wigan having a shit day. Even with Warrington, I think.
Yeah, I feel like Warrington have got a very strong 13, but then we kind of said this at the Challenge Cup. The bench, Wigan kind of can keep that level run, whereas for Warrington, there looks to be a drop-off.
Well, put it this way, Jack Wellesby could win you a game on his own. I think Williams kind of... I don't think he can. He's not that level for me.
I disagree, because I think look at the range of tries he scores, he can do it. The problem is he can also have a shitter and cost you a game on his own.
Yeah, I think we're not arguing over it. We both know Wellesby's the better fullback.
Well, yeah, because Wellesby doesn't really ever have a game where you'll come out of it and think, will he let us down at the back?
No, he'll either win you it or just be steady, which is...
Yeah, whereas Dufty can occasionally just bin it for you. I mean, not even defensive. I remember last year they were through to score the winning try at Leeds. It was a simple ball on the inside and he dropped it on the hooter, so it finished 24-22 to Leeds.
Yeah.
Like, simply, a basic catch cost them the game, because if he caught that, they were over and they'd won.
Yeah. But I do
think... doesn't do things like that.
No, exactly. And I do think Saints will have got more chance of beating Wigan on the day than any other team. I just would fancy him more on the day. That'd be probably the dream final, I guess, in terms of the Derby effect.
You don't want Catalan's back again?
I just think that'd be dead, to be honest. I don't get anything wrong with Catalan. I don't think they will. I think the way the team's playing this year.
No, I don't. I think they'll look poor this year compared.
I think without the home form, they wouldn't even be in playoffs.
But hey, they've got Tompkins back.
Yeah, but he's one of them players where, I mean, I know he didn't do it last year, but he could, like, on his day, he's a match winner.
But look at the semi-final. They're not St. Helens out because it was that bit of brilliance at the end.
From him, yeah, exactly.
So, as much as we say they didn't do it in the final, he did it to get them there. So it's not like we didn't see it. The question is how much has 6 months out affected him, or is he still reasonably up to speed? Because he retired largely because of injuries.
Yeah.
So it's hard to... I can't imagine he's kept himself necessarily at quite the same peak physical performance. I mean, he's clearly not let himself go by any means. But you're not going to put yourself through a pain barrier when you're not playing the sport, are you?
No, exactly.
You've not got that same hunger and desire because there's no trophy on the end of it that makes it worthwhile.
No, he'll still be going to gym and keeping himself in physical shape, but not match ready. But I guess in an ideal world, me personally, as a neutral fan of Super League, you want the top 5 that are currently there with all players fit, Saints to have a fully fit team, and everyone to just have everyone fit and ready. Catalan as well to have a Tompkins up to speed, and then whether that's 6th is Salford, Leeds, whoever ends up there.
I mean, in terms of making an exciting playoffs, no disrespect to Salford, but you probably want Leeds in there.
You want a team
because you've got games where Brodie Croft can just turn up and win a game.
No, yeah.
I know you imagine you got Max Need, haven't you, sir?
But the thing is, whatever team's there, if you think logically about it, because that sixth is the battle between whether it's Salford or Leeds, whichever team's there will be a team that is coming to form at the right time of the season and are winning games, which will make them a strong team, a strong potential contender. So,
yeah, because you kind of think if St Helens don't pick up this form and kind of labour the way to fifth,
then they're
probably not going to go far. Albeit, I guess actually the worst case scenario is probably Saints and Catalans both have very shaky run-ins, and it's like, does one of them want to finish fourth and fifth or whatever? Because that's when your lower teams can pick them off if the draw works out that they face each other.
Oh, definitely. I mean, a good example of that happening is last year in the Championship. Look at London went on a right run. They were bottom end at the table at this time last year, and then went on a run, got playoffs. I think they only lost one game in the last 8 or something, which were actually against Bradford. I'll just put that in there. And then they went on.
How did your playoffs go?
We got to semi. We lost in Toulouse, which everyone's doing at the minute, which is a good segue actually. So I like that.
You see. It's almost like I set you perfectly up to move divisions because the Undertaker's streak has come to an end.
Yeah, we spoke about it a week too early. It's not even made it to the... I mean, did you say they'd never lose? And I said...
they'd go unbeaten, and you said Swinton away.
Yeah.
Well, no, you said Batley first, and then that didn't happen, and then you changed it to Swinton.
And they lost at the most obvious away game that you could lose as well, didn't they? The hardest away game of the
season.
Let's
face it, I think this was always the real banana skin.
Yeah.
But it's too boring to say that.
I mean, teams who've gone over to Toulouse, there's only been 2 teams who've actually taken any points off them. Obviously, Sheffield beat them over there earlier on in the season.
Swinton beat them over there this season.
They do?
Swinton did.
Did they? Have I got that? I thought they might have done. Let me have a look. I'm going to have to fact check.
Swinton definitely did. Did Sheffield, or was that at OLP?
Maybe I've got that mixed up then, yeah.
I think you have. I think Killshaw shot them all with baguettes before the game.
Let me just get it up. But I know, obviously, only a couple of weeks ago when I were there, Bradford managed to get a point there, which now is looking absolutely huge.
Genuine question. Do we think his Photoshop noose has also put a beret on when they were in France? Do we think he's that cultured? Probably.
Right, so they lost. So, Championship this season. The first game of the season, they lost against Sheffield. At Sheffield, though.
I was going to say, I thought that one was in the UK.
But Toulouse, then they lost at home to Toulouse. Started off the season with 1 winning 4.
Yeah, because we were saying they looked completely off the ball, and that's probably IMG chance has gone. Now,
they've picked
second up on the road, potential Championship grand final. Who knows, given that they can beat Wakefield on the day.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you look through
if they win, surely that you kind of think that probably keeps them in the top 12.
You'd hope so. It's not good for Cass, I guess, but you
not
look
good
at
for Huddersfield, frankly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking down through Toulouse's results here. So obviously they lost to Sheffield, then they beat York narrowly, lost to Swinton, lost to Bradford, beat Whitehaven, lost to Wakey. So they lost to Wakey on the 27th of April, right? And that would mean they'd won 2 out of the first 6 in the league. They have then not lost a game since. And the only result that won away
were a
draw against Bradford, which were a Bradford team that put in an immaculate amount of effort, to be fair.
But I mean, just looking at Wakefield, have the signs been there? Because we kind of said it, as much as they did beat Bradford, it wasn't this runaway route like the Cup was. This felt like 2 reasonably evenly matched teams on a terrible surface where ill discipline decided the game.
Yeah.
Rather than Wakefield looking a class above the rest, like they have done a lot of times this year. And I think that comes from the players they don't have. With Lino obviously being out, they had 1 prop basically the entire game. Thornley was in the back row. It was very makeshift Wakefield squad. And if it's full strength, they might go to Toulouse and win that game. but take nothing away from them. But were the signs there for Wakefield coming undone?
I think so. I think that is probably why last week we spoke very much about the streak as if it is going to end, like whether it would be Swinton or, and we didn't actually really mention Toulouse this weekend other than just a passing comment. And we maybe should have probably gone more into that. But I think the signs have been, you know how hard it is to go unbeaten in a season. In a league where anyone can beat anyone on the day on weird surfaces, you know.
And Dewsbury.
Yeah. But even like you got, like we say, Batley and Swinton, they're not the best teams. They're nowhere up near there, but their surfaces are so unique and offer such different challenges than a Wakefield team might be used to. And, you know, I guess a good thing that they've done, which was a good thing with the recruitment, is they've actually signed some players who played Championship before. Like, you know, a player like, they've not brought in crazy amounts of overseas players who might be shocked by a ground like Batley, like a player like Tommy Doyle. You know, Hood's injured or whatever. Doyle can step in. He's played in the league for a good few seasons.
Yeah, you've got Wormsley who knows how to find space on those kind of pitches. I mean, actually, has Jay Pitts had a Championship stint? Or has he somehow kept his nose in Super League?
When he were at London, Bradford, yeah.
I thought he'd had time down there.
Bradford might have just been Super League, but then I know he played a good few seasons for London when they were full-time in Championship, yeah.
Yeah. So again, that's, like you say, you've got that core experience there of this division. And, I mean, don't get me wrong, I think they're still going to win the league element.
Yeah.
It does beg the question, though, if they have the wrong people out at the wrong time. I don't think the Championship Grand Final is necessarily as sewn up as we all thought it was a few weeks ago.
No, I mean, definitely not. I mean, even Toulouse getting to... I mean, obviously, you guys listening and watching will know, but Sheffield are playing today. If Sheffield win, they're above Toulouse in the league anyway. They're only like 4 points maybe behind Wakefield, which I'm not saying they're going to catch them, but I'm saying...
But then I would say that they're probably less likely to get the result on the day. I mean, we also happened at the 1895.
Yeah, I think Sheffield are one of them teams where I don't actually know how they're that high up because, like, they've, you know, in that...
Because they don't drop the same silly points almost we're talking about at your Batleys and your Swintons. So they can afford to lose to the clubs around them.
Yeah.
Because they...
Although they did lose.
They get the job done at home to Toulouse because they put the home advantage in, and they don't really drop as many of these little lower league points as what the clubs around them do. Like, for example, when Bradford went to York and just didn't get out of first gear, and York well and truly took advantage of that, who were bottom of the table at the time.
Yeah.
We talk about the Toulouse resurgence. Actually, we shouldn't sleep on York's.
But I guess we don't know until after today. That's why I didn't want to touch on it. I think we'll probably, whether it's next week or in a few weeks, we'll do a proper championship as we're on the running now to the playoffs. Where everyone's looking and what.
Well, it's next week the Toulouse and Catalan special, given it looks like I'll be recording it from France.
I'm going to say you'll be in France.
So yeah. I'm going to have to learn the intro in French to the pod.
But
what is it? Bienvenue to the tri-time or something. I'm not doing the accent because this will just get offensive.
Yeah, I'm going to say don't be upsetting people. But yeah, what two teams did you say Sheffield don't lose to? Teams like what? Batley and who?
Well, I know they might have lost to Swinton this year.
They lost to Swinton last week.
That's what I mean. Like, you know, I'm picking out the Championship shithouses.
I know what you mean.
Then.
I know what you mean, but the teams that they've lost to in the league this season have been Wakefield, Bradford, Batley, and Swinton. They're the four teams they've lost to, and two of them you said they don't lose to teams.
Right, okay. Widnes and York then.
Yeah, I guess I know you were just looking for. I mean, Bradford beat Swinton, but I know you were just looking at them sort of teams. But...
Look, I know they're the two that you always pull out in terms of solid at home, and this is how Sheffield end up in this position because they're consistent, and of course they've got the goat.
Yeah, Chris Wellens.
Exactly.
I wonder if he'll get in a championship team. We'll have to do it end of season like our team of the years for each.
He's getting in.
I mean,
I don't care what he does. He's getting in.
I don't know though, because if you look, I don't know. I don't think he's gonna. there's better centres, isn't there?
Nah.
I mean, you probably don't have a Wakey centre though. That's so actually it might.
I agree. That's what Thornley's your best option, but I'm not sure if he gets in.
Nah. And you've got to have.
Are you not putting Arthur Romano in or Roman Franco's? He's better than everyone else.
What, for playing for Wakey reserves?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but I think yeah, that's something we can look at and to well.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna say I feel like we know what the core of that's gonna look like already.
Yeah.
Shall we start now? Jow at fullback.
Oh, don't start now. He probably would be though, wouldn't it?
Oh, it's because there's not really that many other options.
I tell you what, sleeper pick, which you probably haven't considered for fullback, he was Toulouse's best player against Bradford, and he was Toulouse, and he scored an hat-trick against Wakey at weekend. Ollie Ashall bought, I tell you. I can see him moving to I can see him going to Catalans next year.
That depends. Where's his bird playing?
I don't know. She's not in France anyway. She's been split by Munich.
So what we're saying is Ashall Bots have signed for German RL.
Let me have a look where she is. And this is like a classic back end at pod.
There you go. Try Time Podcast has segued with the Lionesses. What
a. But yeah, in other news, yeah, she's at Bayern Munich.
We've done 53 minutes nearly. I don't think we can have much other news.
I mean, Riley Dean signed for Oldham just to make sure they definitely go up.
All right.
It made me think of him earlier because you said some players when they're like younger, within 2 years they could be in NRL and within 2 years they could be in League One, and he's done both in the same season.
I mean, that's true.
I know he did. Obviously, he went to Mackay Cutters, I think he went to. But
I'm going to say it wasn't quite an RL, was it? But it was clearly Aussie reserve grade with a view to getting picked up as a 20-odd man in a squad.
And I think he's a good, solid halfback, to be fair, but not NRL level, obviously.
I'm going to say I don't think I'd want him squaring off against Mitch Moses.
But I think he's also way too good for League One. I think he's upper championship. I mean, at Fev last year for that stint he had there, he was great. I loved him at Bulls, to be honest, But
we should probably say, I mean, I know we don't have much audience from there watching. I'm sure plenty of the guys over here do. Fair play, New South Wales.
Yeah.
Origin champions.
No, yeah.
Not really much to talk about on that one. Was it Queensland blew it away, set one after the dodgy red card that was definitely a card. And then New South Wales have just been like, okay, you're my bitch now. And won.
Yeah, so, one of them in it, State of Origin. I mean,
well done, Mitch Moses, proving that you are the best player in Origin yet again.
Yeah, you love Mitch Moses. You're just like little.
He didn't play Test 1. They got battered. He came back for 2 and 3. They win the series. What else is there?
Also, I've seen. It made me think because New South Wales is Bradman Best's going to play for Great Britain, isn't he? Potentially.
Well, I mean, he could theoretically he could do. So what we're saying is we're bringing back GB, not for the Scottish and the Welsh and the Irish. It's so we can have second-rate Aussies who have dual citizenship in one of those countries.
Yeah. I mean,
to be fair, though, I say that's probably a bit harsh. He's not really second-rate if he's playing Origin.
That's what I mean. That's why I don't think he will, because he can't move then, can he? Because it's Tier 1.
No, and also if he does that, he can no longer play Origin.
But, because is his link to Wales or... I think it's either Wales or Scotland. It's not England.
Maybe he's got Tyson Frizzell's family tree.
But if he's linked to them, he's technically representing one of them teams, which are not.
But because Great Britain is
that's what I mean. Will that count?
England, it's classed as Tier 1, even though the nation he gets in under is Tier 2.
Yeah, I get what you mean. That's what I wasn't sure about.
Stupid, and is exactly why this whole thing in Rugby League is already a piss take.
Yeah, I agree.
Which actually is the real reason why Tyson Frizzell with his Welsh passport couldn't play for GB, because Tonga is Tier 1.
Yeah, which makes complete sense. Well, I mean, he's played for Oz as well, though, hasn't he?
But that was before Tonga was Tier 1.
Yeah, before the war, yeah.
Because that was the whole Taumalolo thing for that World Cup. Because obviously Tonga had just gone Tier 1 with him playing, but obviously he's also got New Zealand. So if he played in that, he'd be having to turn away from the Kiwis.
Yeah. Okay, it's a joke.
It's stupid, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's bad enough that you've got bloody Declan Rice, who's Irish, rocking up with England number 4. You know, that famous Irishman who was born in England.
Yeah.
But this is even worse.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is on the biggest stick because it's not like there's hundreds of international teams. There's only really, 4 that people give a shit about, if not 3.
Literally.
And then
it's like how you've got bloody Tedesco playing Origin and then lining up for Italy.
Yeah.
Alongside Dean bloody Parata.
Yeah. And all them fucking, what's he called? Fucking Josh Mantellato. And Jake Mason.
I thought you'd gone Mantellato for the trivia throwback at this point.
Yeah, well, kind of. But, right, I reckon we should end. That's been a longer one than I thought we were going to do that, to be fair.
I know, we were supposed to wrap this up half an hour ago, but you know.
Yeah, but yeah, we'll end it there, guys. Thanks for watching.
And if you forgot this at the start of the episode, because we are totally pro on this, subscribe if you haven't already. If we get to 1K by the end of the year, chance to win a rugby shirt.
Oh,
just watch all the other videos from the last week and you'll know what we're on about. Yeah. Because we're shit at reminding you of that at the start.
Yeah, so yeah, make sure you subscribe and thanks for listening, watching, guys. We'll see you later.